Andy B here. We are still at Christians Against Poverty, having a fantastic day, meeting some wonderful people. And we've got some more guests coming your way. We have 2 people on 1 microphone, so bear with us with that one. But let's just do a little simple introduction first. So just give us your name and what is it you do for CAP?
So my name's Yvette and I'm a debt coach at the Huddersfield Debt Centre.
Okay, so what does that actually involve doing normally? What would the normal day look like for you?
Okay, no such thing as a normal day, but my role is to go out into the community and visit people in their own homes and start them and support them on the journey towards becoming debt free.
So you're going to homes, you're actually meeting people where they're, literally physically at. How did you find yourself in a role like that?
That's probably quite a long story. So short version is 15 years ago I applied to do the role within the centre that a couple of churches were setting up, and long story short with it, ended up getting the role, and that was 15 years ago and I'm still at it now.
Fab, I'm going to swing this around to you. Right, there we go. So just tell me this now, how did you encounter CAP?
Well, first of all, I didn't know about CAP whatsoever, and it was with my mum, who basically, because I was in debt, I went to my mum one day and asked if I could borrow £5, and it was my mum that just said, you need to do something about this, and I know just the people that can help you. And so it was my mum that got me onto CAP, and Yvette contacted me to make an appointment to come to my home. And
which is special. To me, it was a lot more easier doing it in your own home rather than going into an office, because you didn't have all your paperwork to take with you. Yeah.
And so everything was done behind closed doors, and it was made more comfortable.
Yeah.
Having to bring your whole personal life out of what you call a debt box, should I say, to explain about what was happening and what was going on.
I can definitely understand that. We had a debt management plan. We never met the people. It was always at a distance. It was good. They came through the financial services. It was paid. We didn't have to pay them, but they were always sort of distant and over there somewhere. As good as they were,
yeah.
I think we would have valued from what you got from CAP, which is someone coming into your house. I remember, you reminded me of something. We had all these bills from one telecom provider, and the debt got paid and bought between them. And in the end, I got so confused. I had 5 debts, but we only had 1 to start with because they'd sold a bit to one and sold a bit to another. Yeah. And I was sat there with this pile of paperwork, and a really kind, lovely chap came along and said, look, let me try and get these into at least 5 piles. Because I just had this bag, literally a carry bag of paperwork, thinking, I don't know what to do. I don't understand. So he actually then, because he was a bit more impartial, just put it into 5 piles. Okay, these are these people, those are those people. And it got confusing, but I mean, that was just my experience of one creditor. We had a business and we had all sorts of creditors, but how did you find that CAP actually just made sense of life for you?
The way they came across, the way they helped us and supported us through becoming debt free, basically. I mean, Yvette, the coach, she came to my house. She was reassuring. They explained everything clearly. They showed us a video, which on the video there was people that was talking about how they could become debt free and things. And I remember the video because it brought a tear to my eye, to be honest, when I watched it. But yeah, without them we wouldn't have become debt free. And I think, and it was hard at the time because we didn't have any money left. And being with CAP and going down, working alongside CAP and following what we needed to follow, and instructed by Yvette as well, because she guided us down the right line and everything. And what we did, we followed it. And if we hadn't followed that, we'd have been back to square one, which we didn't want that at all. We just followed it through, and we became where we got was life back. We haven't that.
I'll tell you what the most obvious question is that's coming to mind. The most brave thing I think you can do in debt, having been in debt, is to make a phone call for help. I think it's the bravest thing we can do, because up to that point, your life, it feels like it's not your own. I don't know if you had that same sort of sense of,
yes,
my life is not my own. I've now got no control for the next 50 years of my life. Did you have something similar to that?
A little bit like that, yeah.
Okay.
Because you do feel as though you've got no control over it, because it's in somebody else's hands, but because you don't know what's happening, and your debt's being in somebody else's hands, it takes that worry away from you.
Yeah.
And you know, and then sort of like getting in touch with the people, you're not having to take the phone calls, you're not having to explain yourself to other people, and all that just went out, and it went away, and it were like less. I'm not saying I wasn't worried, because I was worried about what happens next and where do we go from here, but they were always reassuring. And that's why I like CAP, and that's why I liked working along with Yvette, because she was always reassuring. She was always saying, you know, if you need me, I'm here. And they just, any letters that came through, all I needed to do was put them in a brown envelope and send it off. And that was me done. I didn't have to worry anymore about that.
I could definitely remember some of those things of passing it to somebody else. We had business debts, they were allowed to do things that personal debt they wouldn't be allowed to do.
Yes.
And it was quite scary, but being able to say to somebody, have this, and know it was going to be resolved on our behalf.
Yeah.
I can certainly understand that part. I think another interesting thing is, I mean, Christian Against Poverty is very much Christian-run organisation. When you made that, was it a phone call or an email when you started? How did you first contact them?
A phone call, yeah.
Phone call.
Yeah.
So how did you feel when you rang them? I mean, did you feel like you shouldn't be ringing them, like what, they won't care about me? How did you get past the bit that I remember clearly of, I don't want to do this, but I have to?
I had my head down in the sand at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because I always felt that these are my debts and nobody else's. But I felt that once I'd phoned them, it was a bit of a relief, knowing that somebody was willing to help me. And at the time, you know, I was living with my husband, and but he was more for it than me in the beginning, but he didn't see the debts. It was me that was seeing the debts. I used to work the bills out. I used to, you know, say how much money we got left at the end of the month, which I felt guilty about, because he was always out working harder than me and thinking, well, we've got nothing left at the end of it. But then going to CAP and making that first step, that was a big relief for me. And even same with my husband, I think it was a relief for him as well, but he was more pleased that I was coming out more myself, because I was a bit reluctant at the beginning.
Yeah. Let me just move this back to Yvette. Oh, there we go. So you work for CAP. You get to go to people's homes, obviously people in distress, not sleeping perhaps, and all sorts of other things that go with it.
Yeah.
How do you prepare yourself to go into that sort of situation? And is there something you do before you go and you think, okay, I want to go and help this person, but I know I can't help everything, but I can do what I can do? How do you prepare yourself before you go and visit someone?
I pray. That's usually the first port of call, is to say, right, we've got this situation. I know only a little bit about it from the phone call that I make before I go and see a client, and then I just say, okay, God, it's over to you now, because I know I've got the training, but the rest of it, I just ask you that you're with us as we go into the home, that we can make somebody feel comfortable, that we can share with them, that it will just go well. And God's never let me down yet.
Amen to that. So you're working for CAP. How do you find the support? I mean, I've met some of the people who do the supporting of people like you. They're lovely. But how do you find that support? What does it do for you as you're going into a situation where you don't know what you're about to experience, other than somebody in debt, which is a bit of a simplified version, but how do they actually support you in the work you do?
So there's different layers of support. There's the financial support. There's the support from the head office side of things, from the area team, from the management, from my own church, and from the people that I have a little support group of special people who have joined me on my WhatsApp group, that I can put out a little note to say this is what's happening. Obviously everything is confidential, but I can generally say I've got a circumstance here, would you pray? If I need something, maybe I need to support a client by taking them shopping, or and then sometimes I'll put a note out saying, is there anybody free, so that it's a volunteer who does that, and it gives me the time to continue to spend time with the clients dealing with the debt situation. So there's lots of different ways that people support.
But I think what's interesting is you're not saying there's a phone or there's an email. You're talking about all these different levels of support that wrap around the work that you do, which I'm guessing would give you the confidence to keep doing what it is that you do.
Yeah, that's right. To know that I'm not on my own, to know that there are people that are a phone call away, that there are people. I also take a volunteer with me to all the appointments that we go to. So I have a great team of people who actually come with me and sit for hours on end, and it can often be hours on end. I've was reminded recently that I spent a Saturday, 4 hours on a Saturday with somebody, because they both worked, and it was the only time we could get, and so I swapped things around and managed to find somebody that could spend the time with me, and we were there for 4 hours with them on Saturday, and yeah, it was just fantastic.
I want to come back to you in a minute, but one more thing for you, Yvette. I can guess the answer, however, I'd like to hear you use it. What is it that makes you get out of bed on a Saturday to go and help somebody, giving up of your time? You could be doing all sorts of other things. What is it that motivates you to want to go on a Saturday and give up 4 hours to help someone?
Oh, number one, I didn't know it would take 4 hours to start with, but there we go. Just the passion to want to see people debt-free, and as I say, if somebody works Monday to Friday, I will try and be flexible and, go out of the way, if you like, to see people, but that's just because that's what God called me to, that's what I want, that's what I have a passion to do. So I will be as creative as possible to accommodate as many situations as is possible to be able to help our clients.
Wow, I told you to forget your name, I already have done. Susie, I told you I'd forget. I wasn't joking. I said I think the bravest thing to do when you're in debt is, you said your phrase was, I have my head in the sand. I think I was the same, thinking, there's nothing we can do, it's my problem. I remember some of those statements back in 2009-10 and thinking, no one's going to care, I did this to myself, they won't care. Obviously they do, clearly. Yvette's come to your aid. For people who think, well, I'm in debt, I don't know what to do, I'd rather keep my head in the sand because the view's better. What would you say to somebody who's a bit scared about ringing up CAP and saying, okay, I need some help?
I would say that don't be scared. Don't think about. Don't hesitate not to phone CAP up, because obviously somebody like Yvette is very supportive, and CAP are there to be supportive with other people, and it's a long journey, but you come through it, and you get your life back.
Wow.
Yeah, you get your life, and I have got my life back.
So are you debt free now? Or are you still working through that?
I'm debt free. I was debt free about 10 years ago.
Fabulous.
And back then, even now, I still talk about my story, and I talk to it to my friends, because I always think if I can help somebody out, and I always mention Christians Against Poverty, because if I can help somebody else out whereby they can become debt free and put them forward, then I will do. and I'm not too ashamed to talk about my own personal story of what happened and why we got into debt, because things happen, and it's not always your fault that it has happened. And in our situation, it wasn't our fault. It was our understanding of what something that went wrong.
Yeah.
As to why we got in debt in the first place. And yeah, if I were to tell somebody, I'd just say go for it.
The people here are lovely. I've met quite a few. We had a little tour earlier, and there's so much joy and hope in all that goes on. There's so much passion. Why do you get out of bed in the morning? It's a question I made up this morning to ask people, and the answers are beautiful. I'm sitting crying again, but because they care. And it's like, well, if we can help, why would you not want to?
Exactly. And the thing is, I when I get talking about my story, I still cry today.
Yeah.
And I still cry today because of what CAP's done for us, because it's one of the most wonderful things that they've given us back.
Susan, Yvette, thank you. Christians Against Poverty, I've known about it for a long time. It's great to actually be in the building and meet people who are either supporting others in the building, people who are out on the grounds helping people like you, Susie, and others who are supporting the people who are going out doing that work. It's tremendous to see it in person, because I can be told about it and you can hear about it and think, that's nice. And then I'm meeting the people, so I'm stating it, this is a beautiful place to be. It's full of peace and hope, and in a world of debt, when you feel like your life is no longer your own, I think that choice is something that's really precious and beautiful. So thank you for sharing your story. We're going to go to some more music, and we'll come back with some more folks soon. The June issue of Pure Media, the magazine, comes out on Friday the 7th of June, with a whole host of international writers speaking on life, faith, sports, technology, joy and more, from our family to yours. In the June edition, we shine the spotlight on Sherry Seligson, a marine biologist from Florida, and Chris Kerr, who helps us focus and celebrate on dads. Sign up today and enjoy all of this and more at www.puremediathemagazine.com.